What if I told you that the phrase Titletown, USA didn't happen overnight? What if I told you that a bathroom was a deciding factor for a team to host a tournament? And what if I told you that one school could dominate Division II basketball back in 2009? This is the story of one team who went from an unknown to a well-known, a year that nobody would ever forget, and a team that would set the standard for future Wonder Boys. This is Titletown, USA.
It's time for Arkansas Tech Wonder Boys basketball.
The 2016 Arkansas Tech Wonder Boys are still reaping in the success from 2009. While that season back in 2009 saw the perfect storybook ending, there was a genesis to that season. The story of the Wonder Boys is no different.
Really, as far as the men's basketball program is concerned, it dates back to 1914, but really it actually began in 1947. That's when Sam Heinzman arrived at Arkansas Tech, and he just built a remarkable machine of a basketball program. He recruited almost exclusively from the tiny high schools up in North Arkansas, Class A and Class B schools. And they played a style and a tempo of basketball that was well ahead of its time. They would regularly score over 100 points in a game. And so that was, particularly from the late 40s up through the early 60s, the experience that the Wonder Boys, the success that they experienced under Coach Heinzman was really unprecedented and had not been matched to the extent of it, the length of that success until very recent times. And so after Coach Heinzman stepped down in 1966, there was a little bit of a down period. There was another period in the mid-1980s when a coach by the name of John Widener came on, and he had a young assistant coach named Joe Foley on the men's team, and together they kind of helped bring the men's program back a little bit. There was another period in the late 60s, early 70s when Coach Dewart Dobson had some success. And then there was a time from the late 80s through the mid-90s when Marty Barnes was the head men's basketball coach at Arkansas Tech. And the Wonder Boys had another good run then. They made it to the national semifinals of the NAIA tournament in 1995. And so there was some good success. But as we transitioned into NCAA Division II in mid to late 90s, there was a period of about 10 years when it was a struggle for our men's basketball program. We went almost a decade without making a postseason appearance, really. Had one postseason game in a span of 10 years until Coach Downey arrived. And that's when things started to change for the men.
That change came in the form of a winner, and there was no doubt that Coach Mark Downey was ready for the challenge.
I came to Arkansas Tech from the University of New Orleans. I was there for 5 years as an assistant coach and kind of worked the way up the assistant coaching ladder there, and Katrina had just hit the year before, so we went through a season with Katrina, and it was a difficult season, and I had spent my 5 years there, and I was ready to move on, and Arkansas Tech came open, and I had a former manager at New Orleans that actually went to Arkansas Tech for a year as an assistant, and he always told me, hey, if you want to try a Division II job, this is a job it's ripe. Great facilities, great town, great school, and not had a lot of recent tradition, recent success. And he thought it was a place you could win and be successful, and it opened up, and he knew a lot of people that were there already that could help me get the job, and I got an interview, and he got me in there a little bit, and then the rest is history.
Downey had no idea of the history that was coming, but to make history in basketball, you need players. And for Mark Downey, his main recruit came in the form of a young kid from Victoria, Texas, a kid by the name of Brandon Friedel.
I had some family that lived in Oklahoma, and I was going on, it was the summertime, and I was going on just to go visit a couple of schools. So I went to a couple of junior colleges, a couple of other smaller schools, and when I got to Tech, it seemed like home. And when I got on campus, I was like, man, this is a really nice campus. I saw the gym. Just took the tour, and I really liked the campus. I knew it was a smaller town, but when I saw the campus, I really embraced it, and I felt like I belonged there, and felt like I fit right in. I could just feel it. There was something inside of me that you could just feel that was like, all right, this is the place I need to be. He was at New Orleans as an assistant, and then he took over the job at Arkansas Tech, and I was getting recruited for a junior college by one of the assistants that he hired, and so when he hired that assistant, He had called me up and said, "Hey, I'm going to Arkansas Tech. You should come just look at it online, see what you're thinking. I'm going to talk to the head coach, just kind of." So we started the whole recruiting process with Coach Downey. They came and watched me play in Dallas, Texas, I guess in June or July, and then I ended up liking the school. That's when I went up there and visited the school, and I liked it a lot, and ended up signing. So
Brandon led a class that was hungry and ready to regain the tradition that Arkansas Tech basketball once had.
That class, we struggled because we took a couple transfers and took a couple chances, but we took a really solid freshman class. And a lot of those freshmen played early, and Brandon and Irvin Humphrey, those guys were Dexter Hendricks, those guys got thrown into the fire right away. And they saw how we wanted to do things and believed in me and believed in our staff and what we were trying to do, and that was the key. Some of those things that we went through in that first year that were really a struggle helped us, in year 4 and year 3, year 2, whatever, that helped us move the program in the right direction.
The thing about guys like Brandon Friedel and Irvin Humphrey and others who came when Coach Downey first got here, I've told several people it would have been easier and more advantageous to go to a school that had never had men's basketball than to come to Arkansas Tech at that point. And so,
just off how low we were.
Yeah, it was a bad situation. It had been a decade of continuous losing. It was a culture of losing, and there's nothing more difficult than reshaping a culture. And when Coach Downey and Brandon Friedel and Irvin Humphrey and several other guys, when they came in here and made that commitment to join this program and rebuild it, that said a lot about them and their character. And
Year 1 for the Wonder Boys under the direction of Mark Downey went 6-21, but saw a 12-win increase in year 2 with the Wonder Boys going 18-11.
I mean, that's my only losing season as a head coach, so it was very trying. Just looking at your stats from that first year that you had today, we were in almost every game. We just, we were young, we weren't as talented. We had some injuries. We let one player go that, hindsight's 20/20. I might not have let him go if I look back at it now, but he wasn't a bad kid. It just, it was one of those things, put me in a position where I had to make a decision. I was a young coach. But our best player got hurt right at Christmas time. We started rolling. We won 2 games in a row. And in year 1. Yeah, in year 1. And our best player got hurt in the middle of our next game, and we lost at the buzzer. And it just snowballed. 2 of our best players were gone. We let one go, and one got hurt. And those freshmen were thrown in, and we just weren't good enough to win. They competed. We were in every game. I think Henderson State won the league that year, and they were the only team to really beat us. They really kicked our tail. But everybody else, we were in the game. We just couldn't finish it. We didn't have the bullets in the gun to finish. We had the next year, it didn't pan out the way we wanted to. We won 18 games, but that second year, we were probably at the beginning of the season, or the beginning of the school year, probably the most talented group I ever had. I mean, we brought in some guys, and some of them stuck around, some of them didn't make it, but we were really talented that second year. So we really went at it recruiting and put together a really solid team, and we won 18 games and went to the conference tournament for the first time in a long time and won a game there, and that was just part of the progression.
It was crazy. My first year there, when we won 6 games, I thought, did I make the wrong decision? Was I doing the right thing coming here? And then just to see the carryover into my sophomore year, We winning 18 games, you know, getting to the conference tournament, you know, having some postseason play. That was pretty nice. So it kind of, you know, it adjusted, and you're like, all right, I made the right decision. We're starting to get the right guys in here. The rebuilding starting, and then into my junior year, it was, you know, winning the conference tournament and then making it to the NCAA tournament it was an unbelievable feeling. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was quite a turnaround for the guys, and at that point they were still kind of bringing in one piece at a time, just trying to put it together, and they were able to, over the course of those first couple of years, pull together enough pieces to get back to the conference tournament, to win a game at the conference tournament, and that was a huge success. It was the first time in about 12 years that we had won a postseason men's basketball game, and so that was a critical step, and I think it opened some recruiting doors for them and allowed them to bring in some of the guys who made a big difference in 2009, 2010. Really, one guy who was here along with Friedel and Humphrey, another guy who was here throughout that time was Renard Allen. And he was about 30 years old when he came to Arkansas Tech to play basketball. He was a guy that Coach Downey had played pickup basketball with in New Orleans when he was an assistant coach at the University of New Orleans. And bringing in Renard Allen just brought some life perspective. It brought some maturity. He was a leader, and not to mention a pretty good rebounder for a guard.
Absolutely.
And so Renard Allen was really one of the key pieces that Coach Downey was able to bring in early on, a guy that he knew, a guy that knew him, and they had a trust and a relationship already built that allowed them to really make a big difference.
Even after a successful 2007 season, Downey continued to recruit players to the River Valley. And during the 2008-2009 season, he led the Wonder Boys to a Gulf South championship and back to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 1996.
We brought in some more guys that next year, and Tiago Cordero was a big part of that. He was a transfer from Dayton, Brazilian kid that yeah, he was really talented, and he was wonderful to coach. I mean, that group was a lot of fun to coach as well. Troy Marcus was a kid that we had that was a senior, and then Friedel and a lot of those guys, Renard Allen, those guys who were Lath Massey, they were all just gaining experience and getting older and older, and it was a fun group to coach as well. And then we did some things that year. That was, you know, we went to San Antonio for a tournament around Thanksgiving, I think, maybe right before Christmas, I'm not sure, I can't remember which, but we played Central Oklahoma, who was number 4 in the country that year. And you know, our guys were jacked for that. I think it was right before Christmas. I think it was our last game before Christmas. But we went down there and we whipped them. You know, we beat them. That was kind of our coming out party. That was like, okay, Arkansas Tech's arrived. And we beat them bad. And I think the week after that was our first ranking nationally that we had maybe ever in Division II. So that was huge that year. And then we went to the NCAA tournament. We went to Florida Southern. We won an NCAA tournament game. Prior to that, we won the conference championship, the tournament, which had never been done before, and beat a good Valdosta State team in the championship. And, you know, we just had things rolling. It was all going in the right direction. And went down to Florida Southern in the NCAA tournament and won a game, and then had Florida Southern the host team in the second round, and played pretty well and went to overtime with them and just couldn't finish it. Couldn't finish it.
After a successful 2008-2009 season, the players, the coaching staff, and Arkansas Tech University was not prepared for what was to come in 2009.
The idea that we would see what we saw starting in the 2009-2010 season and really even on beyond that, but in particular that 09-10 season, it would have been, when the 08-09 season ended, it would have been impossible to predict that the 09-10 season was going to be anything like it was, but it was a remarkable ride.
I thought we could be good, but I never imagined how good we could be, and that's a credit to the guy.
My